Wow, wow, wow. I want to share this clip with you. Meet Kylie, who was a college student, not Jewish, and thought, like many college students do, that Israel's actions are wrong, evil, egregious, colonialist, apartheid, genocide, etc., etc. And then, as she started to have her mind opened, she went on a journey that is frankly, it's pretty miraculous to be honest. Have a watch of her journey.
So in college, I was brainwashed to become anti Israel. I unknowingly signed up for a class on Israel and the Palestinian conflict, and I just thought it was a class on the Middle East. I had taken a class with this professor before, and I thought he was great, and I just wanted to learn more from him. My professor told us that the Jewish lawyers, who were very smart, had come in and created contracts that the Palestinian landowners and homeowners couldn't understand, and they signed these contracts unknowingly, believing that they would be okay, but the Jewish lawyers stole their homes and land from them. I became anti-Israel pretty quickly. I remember going to a party in college on a Friday night, and I was a little tipsy, and I went up to this girl who was in my class as well, and I said, Israel, they're real jerks, huh? And she's like, yeah, and we kind of bonded over that. I actually ended up dropping out of the class because I wasn't doing well. The professor said that I didn't grasp the material very well. And I was like, okay. It was really devastating at the time because I'd aced his other class. I'd done really well in college, so I don't know what had happened there. But I graduated soon after that in 2010, and the flotilla accident happened. Now with that, there was a flotilla, and the radio station I was listening to said that Israel had done something wrong. Once again, it didn't surprise me. And I was in the car with my boyfriend. He was my new boyfriend at the time. He was Jewish. I didn't know he had been to Israel. And I said to him, his friend was there too, and I said, Israel, oh my gosh, they're at it again. They're such jerks. Why do they do this? They're horrible. And the friend yelled at me. He said, you're a moron. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And my boyfriend stood up for me. He's like, don't worry. She doesn't know. She's been taught differently, and she just doesn't know. She's listening to this media. She was taught this in college, and he explained it. He started to explain the truth to me finally. I learned that the media was very much against Israel, which I didn't even think of. I learned all about how after the Holocaust, the Jewish state of Israel was started to shield Jews from another Holocaust because so many countries they went to, not only Germany, had prosecuted them, persecuted them, kicked them out, and Israel was their safe haven. And I also learned that it was the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. That's where their roots were. Here I was this entire time, completely brainwashed, and then I hear the other side, and I go, okay, that makes sense. And I thanked my boyfriend for explaining it to me. I hadn't even considered that. I hadn't even considered another perspective because when you're in college, you trust your professors. When you're kind of still a child / young adult, you just trust authority and the people around you. You don't ever think they're telling you a skewed version of reality, that they're telling you false things, or that they're just not telling you facts. You go to college to learn facts, I thought. At the time, I wasn't Jewish when I was in college. When I started dating my boyfriend, he took me to Chabad for Friday night dinner one night. And it was there that I went from being an atheist to believing in God again. It was through Judaism that I learned so many answers to questions that I had had my entire life, and I decided to convert. Now, before I made it official, I said, I want to go to Israel. I want to finally see what it's like. So I had learned that Israel was a colonialist apartheid state, this horrible place. What do you think I saw when I got there? I was sitting next to a Muslim woman on the train, completely peaceful, completely fine. There were Jews, Muslims, Christians, all types of people together, and very peaceful. Everyone was free to practice religion. There were churches next to synagogues, next to mosques, and my eyes were really opened, and I went to the kotel, the wall. It was just so nice. I learned about the security situation where they told us, oh, you can't walk the certain way to the wall because it's very dangerous for Jews. I was like, that's strange. They can't even openly walk places here because they're Jewish. So just everything I learned was flipped on its head. And I just loved seeing things up close with my own eyes. I already was pro-Israel at that point, but actually going and seeing just how much I'd been lied to was just so eye-opening that I started to question other things. But it was just a really lovely, wonderful experience finally getting to go. I went from someone who was anti-Israel, brainwashed, who wasn't Jewish, who ended up converting, going to Israel, loving it, and we got engaged at the Kotel in the snow. So that was like full circle. What an amazing miracle. If this happened to me, just think about all the other miracles that can happen. I always tell people, you don't know where someone's coming from. Like back then, if I had continued to be just yelled at, if my boyfriend hadn't stepped in and said, oh, she just doesn't know, who knows, would I have been more radicalized? So whenever I come across people who are anti-Israel, I try to keep an open mind and I give them the facts and I let them decide, because you don't know if they've just never been shown the other side. And I hear it all the time. My husband was talking to his friend who was just dealing with a situation where she was conversing with a Jewish person. He was very sensitive about anti-Semitism. She didn't understand why. Once my husband explained it to her, she's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that Jews are going through this. And I had someone who I'm very close to. She's not Jewish, but she works in the Jewish community. And she said, Kylie, I went to the Jewish community to work around your holiday, Rosh Hashanah. And there were so many police cars and security guards. Why is that? And I said, because we have to. Like I explained that anti-Semitism is so bad. We get threats all the time that's what we have to do to protect ourselves. And she didn't understand. Before I was Jewish, I just didn't understand. So keep on explaining to people nicely, have those debates, keep an open mind, and know that a lot of people, like how I was, they just didn't know. My story is a miracle, and I don't want you to get dejected by everything that's going on. Keep on pushing, keep on putting the facts out there. I guarantee you it does work.
Wow, amazing stuff there. You know, one of the things that I think is so critical that people understand is that people inside in the pro-Israel camp can get very worked up by people who disagree with them, maybe even shutting them down, even in private discussion, aggressively telling them how wrong they are, assuming that everyone is speaking in bad faith, meaning they are not interested in the truth. But you know, there's plenty of people who actually think badly of Israel, but it's not bad faith, it's just ignorance. They haven't been exposed to another argument. They assume that the conventional wisdoms of our institutions in the West are in fact telling them the truth. But of course, if you just can have a civil discussion where you respect them and show you respect their intellect and gently open their mind to a different point of view, who knows what can happen? There's a line in that speaks about, in Proverbs, an Ashes Chayil, the woman of valor. We say it every Friday night. King Solomon spoke about the ideal woman. And it says, Pia pascha v'chachma v'soras chesed al lashona, soras chesed al lashona, that she speaks wisdom gently with a Torah of kindness on her lips. Meaning that, as I heard Rabbi Manis Friedman put it, don't beat people up with the truth. Respect them, gently show them that there's another perspective, and you have a much better time lowering people's defenses and actually bringing them into a totally different perspective, a truthful perspective. You know, when people feel attacked, their guards go up. When people feel respected and that you're just trying to show, look, let's just not try and point score, be objective, and not or make you seem like you're a bad person, their guards go down and they become open to all points of views. And this really is the Jewish philosophical worldview that we are ultimately looking for. We say it in the Aleinu prayer, on that day in the future, God will be one and his name will be one, meaning the way we are heading to in world history is that all of humanity come to recognize the oneness of God, the truth of reality. And that's going to happen naturally. There's no point at all happening via a miracle, because then we won't have freely chosen to complete creation. That really is the name of the game. And this Jewish philosophy is something that I think more and more people need to truly absorb, because I often get told, Ollie, that is naive, that's foolish. Let me be absolutely clear. This is not saying that we therefore should let up at all on our security policies, on our comprehensive total victory mindset against our enemies. Not at all. But it's saying that can be our right hand, but in our left hand should be the principle that we want to try and educate people to better values, to a more truthful orientation, because when you do that, then they won't even want to be your enemy in the first place. And so that really is the Jewish view. And for more on this topic, I think our JTV Plus documentary called Moshiach, about the Jewish Messiah, what life will look like, how we believe history is heading in that direction, what life will look like when he comes, why we believe his coming is close, and who this person will be. I think this gets into a lot of that. And for so much on Jewish philosophy, we unpack so many different areas, as well as the truth about Israel on our platforms. Let me play you the trailer for Moshiach on JTV Plus, and to watch the full thing, just click on the link below in the video description. For thousands of years, the Jewish people have carried a promise that history is not a random cycle, that suffering and darkness and exile are not the end of the story, that one day the world will be redeemed and the Messiah, the Moshiach in Hebrew, will come. But what does that actually mean? Who is Moshiach? When will he come? How will we know he's real? Why would God design a world that waits so long for redemption in the first place? And what will life feel like after he comes? With AI and machines beginning to replace work, maybe we're already catching a glimpse. But then what will we do with our days? The prophets spoke of that world long ago. In this groundbreaking JTV Plus documentary, we uncover the truth about the Jewish vision of the Messiah, who he is, why it matters, and why his coming could be closer than you think. Join us as we reveal the truth about history's most anticipated figure. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.